Good evening and good morning. Let's just begin our study circle on looking from within. We are on the section titled Ordeals, Ordeals and Difficulties. And it's really showing us how do we handle these things. How do we change within to be able to not flow with the flow of the difficulties, with the flow of the ordeals? How to identify with the one we truly are, with who we, what we are, rather than thinking that we are weak and this will hit me and that will kill me and that will pain me. Buddha had said that, if you want to come on this path, the first thing you have to accept is Jivan dukh hai. There is pain in life. There is substantial pain in life, and the one who wants to transcend that pain can begin the journey. But that honesty, that awareness, that recognition is needed that yes, there is unnecessary but very evident pain and suffering in our lives. So hoping that we are able to transcend whatever we are capable of transcending right now. May our capacities, our capabilities increase through this knowledge. May this knowledge become our practice. Because as Mother says, circumstances has always been difficult. Because there's always, right, the fight between the divine forces and the other forces. So yeah. So invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence as we begin this session of Looking from Within, a compilation by Dr. A.R. Dalal. So if somebody has capacity, they can please read. Otherwise, I read it. We are on this passage starting from there.
Hi, Taru.
Hi.
Unfortunately, I have a broken throat today,
Yeah, yeah,
so
I'll
all I
read.
can do is only listen.
Absolutely. You didn't even
Yeah,
have to share this with me. I would have just paused for 5 seconds and began.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read.
Thank you.
So I think it's mother. Yeah. So the mother says there is one part of the being which has an aspiration. There is one part of the being which gives itself. And there are other parts, sometimes a small part, sometimes a big one, which hides nicely right at the bottom and keeps absolutely quiet so that it may not be found out, but which resists with all its might so as not to change. So, there is one part of the being which has an aspiration. That's the part which gives itself to, the divine. And yet there are other parts, sometimes a small part, sometimes a big one, which hides nicely right at the bottom and keeps absolutely quiet so that it may not be found out, but which resists with all its might so as not to change. In this section, ordeals and difficulties, one thing that has truly again been reinforced, at least from where I see it, is that there is a difficulty, there is a challenge, there is pain, there is suffering because something in me wants to resist what it should be. I have an image, I have a desire, I have a longing, I have a feeling of an entitlement that this is how things should be. This is how life should be. This much I deserve. Or this is natural. I should be allowed to do that. So all those excuses are there. The purpose of those excuses is that I should not change. I should remain being who I am. The one who suffers, the one who cries, the one who shouts, the one who reacts at the smallest thing. So, why does that happen? Mother says, because a lot of times when we read something, when we understand something, and I'm talking about good understanding, in depth reading, that yes, now I know this is not serving me, now I know this is bad, and yet it does not stop. Why? Sometimes we get demotivated, frustrated, irritated, and we say, Arey, हमसे होगा ही नहीं, it's beyond me. Why? Because talking about facts, not going into emotions and drama, Mother says there is a part of us which hides, keeps quiet, but resists with all its might so as not to change. The enemies, the negative forces, the old tendencies, they are in us. They are only stopping our progress. The fight is not outside. It is outside to a certain extent, lot of times. If we have to fight for basic freedom to do what we want to do. But the true fight is from our own demons, is from our own tendencies, and we know that. And yet we feel, oh, that's nothing. I should be able to overcome it. But to know the strength of who we are fighting, what we are fighting, is very helpful. So there's something within me which resists with all its might so as not to change. Mother continues, hidden somewhere, there is a tiny something which is well coiled up in there, doubled up, turned in upon itself and well hidden, right at the bottom, as at the bottom of a box which refuses to stir. So it's trying to occupy the minimum space so that it's not visible. It's very much solidly there, doubled up, turned in upon itself, and it doesn't move. Mother speaks very softly. So when the effort, the aspiration wanes, dies down, the aspiration wane, die down, this springs up like that, gently. And then it wants to impose its will and it makes you do exactly what you did not want to do, what you decided you would not do, and which you do without knowing how or why. So, till the aspiration is strong, it sits. As soon as it feels that, oh, yes, now I have crossed over, now I get it springs up. When you rest, it springs up. When you let the guards down, it springs up and makes you do what you did not want to do, what you aspired, what you thought you have conquered. You again end up doing that. I don't think there would be anybody, just talking generally, who has not seen this. So many times we say if we have to give some money, give something, do something good, especially, we say, oh, yes, yes, I'll do it, pakka, kal, and all. This is the best way. And somehow something changes. Even waking up at night, we wake, think, sleep, when we sleep, we think, oh, I'll wake up early, da, 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 this clock, that clock, I'll do this, I'll do that. And in the morning, the one who's waking up is somebody else only, who doesn't want to, with its own excuses. So we don't, mother says, without knowing how or why, you end up doing what you decided you would not do, moving forward, because that thing was there. It had its turn for small things, big things, for the details, even for the direction of life. It has its own way, its own choices that it makes you follow. There are people who see clearly, who know so well what they ought to do, and who feel that they can't. There are people who don't know. That's one category. That's fine, they're still figuring it out. And there are people who very clearly know what they ought to do, and yet they feel they can't. They don't know why. It is nothing else but that. So, whenever you're not able to do what you want to do, Mother says this is the reason that there's something inside us which is coiled up, which is hidden, which takes over our aspiration, which guides us in a direction where it feels we need to go, not where we want to go, not where what is the right way to go. It is nothing else but that. There is a little spot which does not want to change, and this little spot awaits its hour. And the day it is allowed, through laxity, fatigue, somnolence, through a little inertia, allowed to show itself, it will show itself with all concentrated, accumulated energy and will make you do, will make you say, make you feel, make you act exactly contrary to what you had decided to do. So, Mother could not have been more elaborate or detailed than this. And see how patient and perseverance has its strength. So, when you are all pumped up, this part of your being, the lower part of your being is silent. It waits its hour that kabhi to hoga that you will go wax in your aspiration, your strength. So the day, if you're lax, the vigilance is less or not there. When you feel you have won this war and you are tired, that हाँ कितना तो कर लिया, कितना तो रोक लिया, now I'm good. It will not come back. Somnolence through a little inertia, allowed to show itself. It will show itself with all concentrated, accumulated energy, and so we end up doing what we did not want to do. So that is why, we hear this so often, but we don't understand the importance of a constant aspiration, a constant vigilance. The Birji talks about it so much, the constant vigilance, that chowkidari. Why? Why the constant aspiration, the mindfulness? Why nothing should enter without our knowledge? Nothing should enter our being without our knowledge. Because whenever the guard is not there, when the doctor is away, the mice will play. I don't know, whatever the quote is, I'm forgetting. So when the boss is not around, the right boss, the truth, the desire, the aspiration, sorry, towards the truth is not there, then the thing in us which is taking us not where we should go becomes the master. And you will stand there. How discouraging that is. So, this is the worst part, right? Not knowing how this works, we feel, oh my God, I've been fighting for say 3 weeks, and now I say, okay, I have done it, and again I'm again doing it. How discouraging. Then, mother says, some people say fate. They think it is their fate. It is not fate, it is themselves. So it is myself that I'm not vigilant anymore. And then I say it's fate, or why is God unkind, or what's wrong with me. So anything, I go into discouragement. It is that they haven't used the light, the searchlight. They have not turned the searchlight into the small hidden corners of their being. They haven't discovered what was well hidden. So, one thing is that it can be discovered, right? There are some things which we are not capable of doing, and there are others which we are capable of doing. So, in this case, Mother says it's that we haven't made enough effort to see what is hidden. They have left it there and then they have done this. Mother turns away her head so as not to see it. How many times one suddenly feels one is on the point of catching something? Up, it hurts a little, it is troublesome. So one thinks of something else and that's all. The opportunity has gone. So when I'm able to see something in myself and it gets cloudy, it gets muddy, it gets painful, I can go all the way. I can go through that confusion, that darkness, and that hurt. But mostly I step back that it's too much. It's too much. Yeah, I'll take care of it, but maybe not right now. So the opportunity has gone because remembering it doesn't surface all the time. So one must wait for another occasion. Again commit a few stupidities before being able to find an opportunity to catch the thing by the tail like this. or by the ear or the nose and hold it firmly and say, no, you won't hide any longer now. I see you as you are, and you must either get out or change. So, how I understand it, I mean, it might look or sound dramatic, and we might think we are not understanding, or mother is just narrating a story, but this is our truth. There are hidden tendencies, hidden passions, hidden longings, hidden desires, a image that we are conforming to, self created. I might be seeing things for what they are, and yet I'm not able to say it because, that would, I am the one who's kind, I am the one who's polite, I am the one who anything. So rather than choosing the truth, whenever I choose my images and impressions and personality traits over the truth, over what's right, these things just keep prospering and doubling, increasing in strength. So if I am a sadhak, if I'm a seeker, if truth means something to me, I have to catch it when I see it, and I have to be firm with it. So either you get out or change. So this is how we can remove what in us is really stubborn, really sticky, guiding us from the back, misguiding us, not guiding us. So holding it, seeing, oh, this is the trait that is making me do that. So to get to the root of those things, and why am I doing it? Why am I still here? Why am I repeating this? And you'll find the why. And when you find it, that's what Mother has been guided. So moving on, somebody asks a question. The question is, Mother, last time you said that often there is in us a dark element which makes us commit stupidities. So you said that when one is conscious of this element, it must be pulled out. But does pulling it out mean, for example, when one is conscious that this element comes to make us do stupid things, then if by an effort of will one abstains from doing it, can one say that one has pulled it out? Mother says, one has sat upon it. Then the sadhak asks, then how to pull it out? What is this pulling out, right? Mother says, for that, first of all, so for pulling that thing out, the thing we do not want in ourselves anymore, Mother says, first of all, you must become conscious of it. So again, this might feel like a repetition. And yet we do need repetitions because we are not following it fully. We are not conscious of a lot of things. A lot of things are very much justified and accepted by us under various pretexts. To stop the excuses, to stop the justification, become conscious of it. You see it, put it right in front of you, and cut the links which attach it to your consciousness. It is a work of inner psychology, One can see when one studies oneself very attentively. You see that one day you are very generous in your feelings, generous in your sensations, generous in your thoughts, and even in material things. That is, you understand the faults of others, their intentions, weaknesses, even nasty movements. You see all this and you are full of good feelings of generosity. You tell yourself, well, everyone does the best he can, like that. So we do know, right? And we just discussed this too, right? That some days it just feels that, yes, I've got it. And we are accepting and compassionate and generous, like Mother is saying. Another day, Mother says, or perhaps the very next minute, you will notice in yourself a kind of dryness, fixity, something that is bitter, that judges severely, that goes as far as bearing a grudge, has rancor, would like the evil doer punished, that almost has feeling of vengeance, just the very opposite of the former. It's so strange that all these things sound so loud right now when we are reading it. And yet, it's even a blessing to see that transformation happen in ourselves. To accept that, oh, right now, I'm filled with hostility, filled with judgment. Don't know why it's happening, maybe, but I am conscious that who's ruling me right now. So one day someone harms you, Mother says, and you say, doesn't matter, he did not know, or he couldn't do otherwise, or that's his nature, or he could not understand. The next day, or perhaps an hour later, you say, he must be punished. He must pay for it. He must be made to feel that he has done wrong. With a kind of rage, you want to take things, you want to keep them for yourself. You have all the feelings of jealousy, envy, narrowness, you see, just the very opposite of the other feeling. Mother is just making us aware of how the movements within our beings change from wideness and acceptance to narrowness, envy, and jealousy. How that shift happens. Mother says sometimes even within minutes. The same act that person could be doing, the same reaction you could be getting. And yet, my reaction, because I am responsible for myself, first of all, I am accountable for my reactions, my actions, my thoughts, my feelings. And you see that shift happening from wideness to narrowness. The mother says, this is the dark side, what she just spoke about. And so, the moment one sees it, if one looks at it and doesn't say, it is I, if one says, no, it is my shadow, it is the being I must throw out of myself, one puts on it the light of the other part, one tries to bring them face to face, and with the knowledge and light of the other, one doesn't try so much to convince, because that is very difficult, but one compels it to remain quiet. So just rereading this. So we are talking about the dark side within us now. So Mother says the moment one sees it, if one looks at it and doesn't say it is I, right? Because we mostly just say, oh, it's just a part of me. and accepts it. So if we don't accept it, Mother says, if one says, no, it is my shadow, so it's not coming from the light, right? It's my shadow. It is the being I must throw out of myself. So, how am I placing it? How am I naming it? How am I identifying with it? Do I say, oh, it's natural to feel this narrowness? After all, what was done to me was not right. So, if I'm done with those excuses, if I'm done with taking the low roads, if I want the highway now, I can say, no, it is my shadow and I want to throw this out. Then one puts on it the light of the other part. One tries to bring them face to face. So, darkness face to face with light. Because mostly, as we just read, we keep hiding that darkness. And with the knowledge and light of the other, one doesn't try so much to convince because that is very difficult, but one compels it to remain quiet. So, convincing is difficult, right? So, remain quiet. First, to stand farther away, then one flings it very far away. So, first is you stand away, then one flings it very far away so that it can no longer return, putting a great light on it. So, when we see it, I'm doing something and I keep getting fogged when I ask myself, getting foggy, getting confused. Why do I do it? Why do I do it? So, mother said, when we were reading it, that sometimes you see, oh, this is the reason why I'm doing it. This tendency, this negativity is making me do it. So, when you see it, the shadow, then you have to put the light on it and then put like a great light on it. By light, it means you see it. Oh, this is the center from which I'm operating. I don't want it. It cannot hide now. This is the greed that is making me do that. This is why I am a slave of so many impulses and relationships. This is the image I'm trying to fulfill. So when we put the great light on it, as in when we fully see it, fully see why, what is making me go round and round, then we can put light on it, understand it, and fling it far away. Mother says there are instances in which it is possible to change, but this is very rare. There are instances in which one can put upon this being or this shadow, put upon it such an intense light that it transforms it and it changes into what is the truth of your being. So, first, Mother told us how to fling it away, how to put light on it so that it doesn't return. And the other thing, maybe the more integral thing, but the more tougher thing, is try to transform it. But Mother says this is a rare thing. It can be done, but it is rare. Usually, the best thing is to say, no, this is not I. I don't want it. I have nothing to do with this movement. It doesn't exist for me. It is something contrary to my nature. And so, by the dint of insisting and driving it away, finally one separates oneself from it. We are often so directed by our images and what we want to portray ourselves as, both to ourselves and others, that we often don't take a strong stand. Yes. So Charuji, you were asking that how to understand this is not me, right?
Yeah.
So Mother has, we've just read some passages where Mother has said that you see that how there is a part of you which is so generous, so
Mm.
kind, so accepting, and yet in different moments there is a part when we become very narrow, right? When we
Yes.
see this is not us, when it feels that something is guiding us, right? Guiding us wrong. Something has
Mm.
overtaken us and we know it.
Mm.
And that mostly happens when our aspiration wanes down, when we are relaxed, when we
Mm.
feel we have crossed over. Oftentimes, again talking from my personal experience, it feels that, oh, there has been a river which you have been wanting to cross, and now
Mm.
you've crossed it, and
Mm.
now you can relax. But I would say 100% of the time you end up coming back because then you are not that vigilant in staying on the other end. And the being feels very confused because it feels, oh God, I took so much effort, so much will was there to cross because it feels crossing over is the job. But that is just half of the job, or maybe even less. The real job is to stay there and not come back, right? Similar to emptying one cup. Emptying takes a lot of effort, but what takes more effort is not to fill it up again with dirty water, right? So when we see we are filling it up again, or those tendencies are coming, the mother says, would you like to read this underlying part?
Yeah. Yeah. There is a little spot which does not want to change, and this little spot awaits its hour. And the day it is allowed, through laxity, fatigue, somnolence, through a little inertia, allowed to show itself, it will show itself with all concentrated, accumulated energy and will make you do, will make you say, make you feel, make you act exactly contrary to what you had decided to do. And you will stand there, ah, how discouraging this is. Then some people say fate. They think it is their fate. It is not their fate, it is themselves. It is that they haven't used the light, the searchlight. They have not turned the searchlight into the small hidden corners of their being. They have not discovered what was well hidden.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So now we were on
Thank
this usage. Yeah, absolutely. So one has to recognize and be firm and persistent in saying, no, this is not I. I don't want it. I have nothing to do with this movement. It doesn't exist for me. It is something contrary to my nature. And so, by the dint of insisting and driving it away, finally one separates oneself from it. So, would you like to read the next paragraph?
Yeah, yeah, I'll
Starting
read.
from but.
Yeah, okay. But one must first be clear and sincere enough to see the conflict within oneself. Usually, one does not pay any attention to these things. One goes from one extreme to the other. You see, you can say, to put it in very simple words, one day I'm good, the next day I'm bad. And this seems quite natural. Or Even sometimes, for 1 hour, you are good, and the next 1 hour, you are wicked. Or else, sometimes the whole day through, one is good, and suddenly one becomes wicked. For a minute, very wicked, all the more wicked as one was good. Only one does not observe it. Thoughts cross one's mind. Violent, bad, hateful things like that. Usually, one pays no attention to it. But this is what must be caught. As soon as it manifests, you must catch it like this. Mother makes a movement with a very firm grip and then hold it. Hold it up to the light and say, "No, I don't want you. I don't want you. I have nothing to do with this. You are going to get out of here and you won't return." So beautiful, no? So beautiful.
It's very strange that we make a tiny efforts, right? Or we do it in a very requesting way that, this is not good. I shouldn't
Mhm.
be like this. I should be balanced. This tendency is not okay. I will not do it. And then when it returns, we are very surprised because we feel we have had this conversation, right?
Yeah.
And yet, if there is something which is in our homes, there's someone who's in our homes who is just spreading toxicity, does not belong there, they have their own home. And if we want them to leave our home and they are not leaving, we'll have to be firm. We'll have to have a serious conversation. We might even have to threaten or shout or say, I'll call the police, right?
Yeah.
And yet, for these tendencies within us, these weaknesses within us, we are very soft, right? Like lot of times when we see something in us, we say, "Oh, yo, yeah, now I will not do it again." Pakka, very lovingly, very softly, because we see it in ourselves, and a part of us hates ourselves, a part of us loves ourselves, and mostly we use excuses. So we have never been that firm. We haven't been that strict. We haven't said this is not going to happen ever again.
Mm. That is why it is coming back again and
That's why
again.
it's coming back because it knows that, yeah, you scold, but you are not like, kind of say, let's say a child, right? If a child says something and you are like, oh, come on, don't say this. It's very soft, very lovingly. You ever sat him down and had a serious conversation that, see, this is bad for you. This is why. Because after that, they might understand. And at times, they might not even understand that. And you might have to just say that no more excuses. This will not be acceptable. This is total. If you can't understand it right now, just stop the action. We'll talk about it again, right? We don't make it larger than it needs to be because we feel, oh, it's okay. We'll learn, right? I learn. So if I have seen that enough, if I have done it enough, if I'm serious about transcending something, removing something, I have to be very firm with it. Actually, I
So
think a lot of
beautiful.
times we don't accept the damage it's doing, right?
Mm. Mm.
We feel it's wishy-washy. Yeah. Say if somebody was, say, staying in a house and he would be saying one thing to one person and talking about other person's back, we'll say, oh, it's okay. It's on them. Why should I, confront this or that? They'll learn. But if I don't want that toxicity in my house, I would say, no, that's unacceptable. So it depends on how much I want to now get over, how much I want them to be out and not have the toxicity in me. So mother says you have to say, I don't want you. So when you see that tendency in you, that habit in you, that negativity in you, I don't want you. I don't want you. I have nothing to do with this. You're going to get out of here and you won't return. So we'll just take the last paragraph of this passage and end.
So I'll continue.
Yes, please.
Yeah. After a silence, and this is something, an experience that one can have daily or almost, when one has those moments of great enthusiasm, great aspiration, when one suddenly becomes conscious of the divine goal, the urge towards the divine, the desire to take part in the divine work, when one comes out of oneself in a great joy and great force, and then a few hours later, one is miserable for a tiny little thing. One indulges in so petty, so narrow, so commonplace a self-interestedness, has such a dull desire, and all the rest has evaporated as if it did not exist. One is quite accustomed to contradictions. One does not pay attention to this and that. One does not pay attention to this, and that is why all these things live comfortably together as neighbors. One must first discover them and prevent them from intermingling in one's consciousness. Decide between them. Separate the shadow from the light. Later, one can get rid of the shadow. So beautifully, Mother explains, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. So we don't even know that we have two sides, first of all, and after finding it out, just hold it tightly and offer and try to change it. In this paragraph, what she says, experience that. So we often go through these experiences, and both the things are living in us like a neighbors. So we should find out which one we want, and we have to keep vigilant. We have to keep vigilantly watching. So beautiful. See, one moment, I'll read this sentence again. An experience that one have daily. When one suddenly becomes conscious of the divine goal, the urge towards the divine, the desire to take part in the divine work, when one comes out of oneself in a great joy and great force, and then a few hours later, one is miserable for a tiny little thing. This is so beautiful, no? We think we are very saints and great people, but immediately, so little after that, we know that what we are really. We are not that, we are not this also, no? We are neither that nor this. So beautiful. And if it did not exist, one is quite accustomed to contradictions. So, sometimes one is good, sometimes one is not good. Mother gives example in another book, no, to Huta Didi. Mother says, people have two sides in themselves. A king was so cruel to people, and he was so dearly loving his cat. If something happened to the cat, he used to cry. We have two types of personalities in us. Yeah.
Yeah, not two, but say in the book, many selves, I think they say thousands of personalities. But now it's up, that's why stress on mindfulness, attention, vigilance, that everybody is there, right? Who rules? Who rules? Every second, there is this, say there is a, what do you call it? A group of people standing outside, and some of them are peaceful, some of them will, I have the can have the tendency to destroy or be hooligans. So the guards have to be really vigilant, right? That who's raising its voice, who's taking that platform to talk. Because if it's a silent one, if it's the good one, if it's the ahimsa one, he would calm everybody down in my being, right? But if it's the one who's saying, "Ye bol kaise diya? How did you do it?" You know, the narrow one, the revengeful one, the one who wants to use hate to say that there should be love, then the whole crowd will get influenced and we will succumb. So knowing that yes, the good, bad, the ugly, the beautiful lives in me, now with vigilance, I have to see who is the master of my house every single second. Laxity, mother said, right? And somnolence, which is like sleepiness, drowsiness, fatigue. And there was one more thing that mother had said is when that an inertia, when that comes in, the negative comes up. So knowing that, how is it possible that, yesterday I was so generous, today I'm so miser. So both are living, but who's ruling? Why is the miser me ruling me today? This pettiness we have all seen in ourselves. It has not escaped anybody. Miserable for a tiny little thing. One indulges in so petty, so narrow, so commonplace. So the problem is that we had just discussed. This is the reason that sometimes, most of the time, we are not able to remove that from our being is we are used to it. We just accept that as natural. That yes, naturally yesterday I felt so generous and naturally today I'm feeling not. So it's okay. And it is okay for those whom it is okay. But the one who is on the path, who's moving towards unity and the absolute truth, it's not okay. So stop being okay with the things which are not okay. So don't be accustomed to these contradictions. One must pay attention to this so that we are not very comfortable as neighbors. If I do have a very toxic neighbor, the one which always pulls me down, it can go as far as me wanting to leave the place now. If they are not leaving, then I might say that I'll just shift somewhere else. I cannot handle this toxicity. So one must first discover them, prevent them from intermingling. This intermingling is not okay. Decide between them, separate the shadow from the light. Later, one can get rid of the shadow. First, know it exists, know it's not okay, put it aside, separate this is good part, this is bad, this is shadow, this is light, and then one can get rid of the shadow. Yeah, so again, this section, ordeals and difficulties, is really eye-opening. And Mother says it so simply that if one wants to understand, if one is now ready to understand, it would be very difficult to not understand. But depends on how we want to use it when we are ready. So if we are ready, we now know. So we'll be ending the session here. So thanking Grace, thanking the Divine, thanking Mother, thanking Sri Aurobindo, and thanking Dr. A.S. Dalal for taking such efforts with so much grace to compile these things for us. Mother has said that if one wants to understand Sri Aurobindo, don't read a book from back to front. Read him by topics. And this is what I feel Dr. Dalal has done with so many of his compilations, how he has made, searched so many sources and taken things and put them so beautifully for us so we can understand. So hope this understanding transforms my everyday, aspiring and praying for that, for everyone, for myself and everyone. May we recognize the demons that live in us. May we are able to identify them, separate them, and may we have the courage and the will to fling them away or transform them. Thank you.
Thank you